We previously saw how the axiom of completeness lets us fill in the gaps of the rational numbers to obtain the real numbers. The axiom of completeness, recall, states that every non-empty set of real numbers that's bounded above has a least upper bound, which we call the supremum. I'll leave links in the description to previous lessons on supremums and infimums that are important for this discussion. Of course, when we introduced supremums, we also introduced the similar idea of infimums, but the axiom of completeness doesn't say anything about infimums. So why is that? Why doesn't the axiom guarantee greatest lower bounds for sets that are bounded below? It only guarantees those least upper bounds for sets that are bounded above. Well, as you could have probably guessed, the reason is that guaranteeing this is redundant. We're going to see how if a set is bounded below, just from definitions and the axiom of completeness, we can show that it must have an infimum, a greatest lower bound. So we're going to take a non-empty set A that's bounded below, and in order to show that it has an infimum, we'll construct this other set B that contains all lower bounds of A, and show the supremum of B is the infimum of A that we're looking for. This way, since we're going to talk about supremums, we'll be able to put the axiom of completeness to work. To use the axiom of completeness on this set B, which contains all lower bounds of the set A, we need to first show that B is non-empty and bounded above. We know that B is non-empty because the set A is assumed to be bounded below. Hence, A certainly does have lower bounds, and B necessarily, by definition, would contain all such lower bounds. So B is non-empty. We also need to show that B is bounded above to use the axiom of completeness, and that too is straightforward. We assumed that A was non-empty, so there's some element in A, let's call it little a. Then, take any element from B, it would certainly be less than or equal to little a, because by B's definition, it contains only lower bounds of A. So every element of B is less than or equal to every element of A. Hence, B is certainly bounded above. Any element of A would suffice as an upper bound for B. Thus, by the axiom of completeness, B does have some real number supremum. Let's call the supremum of B M. Then we claim that M is a lower bound of A. Of course, we need to show that it is the greatest lower bound to show that it's the infimum of A. But first, let's justify this claim. How do we know that M, the supremum of B, is a lower bound of A? Well, let's use a contradiction argument. If M isn't a lower bound of A, then there's some number M minus epsilon that is in A. So if M's not a lower bound, we could take something away from M and get something, smaller, which is in A. That's what it would mean for M to not be a lower bound. There's some smaller number that is in A. But by the epsilon definition of supremum, since M is the supremum of B, if we take anything away from M, there must be some number in that set B which is greater than M minus epsilon. Again, this is just by the epsilon definition of supremum. It's easy to see that if this weren't true, then we could say that M minus epsilon is the supremum of B, if it didn't contain some element that was bigger. Of course, that's not possible, because we already said that M is the supremum. But little b being greater than M minus epsilon contradicts B's very definition, because M minus epsilon is in A. So every element of B, by definition, has to be less than or equal to M minus epsilon, because every element of B has to be a lower bound of A. So since M minus epsilon is in A, all elements of B have to be less than or equal to it. So showing that B has this element little b that's greater than M minus epsilon shows that's a contradiction. And so, in fact, M has to be a lower bound of A. The supremum of B is a lower bound of A. Remember, this whole contradiction came from assuming that M was not a lower bound of A, but we see, in fact, it must be. And then importantly, since the supremum of B, M, is a real number that's a lower bound of A, by definition, this element M is also in the set B. And we've previously proven, link in the description, when a set contains its supremum, the supremum is the maximum of the set. So this supremum of B, M, is the greatest lower bound for A, because all elements of B are lower bounds of A, but M is the maximum of that set of lower bounds. It's the greatest lower bound. Thus, by definition, it's the infimum of A. And so we've used the axiom of completeness to establish that every nonempty set that's bounded below has an infimum. We did this by considering the set of all lower bounds for some set that's bounded below, and then the supremum of that set has got to be the infimum of the original one. So the axiom of completeness is in fact not lacking at all. It only addresses least upper bounds, but that's powerful enough to also guarantee greatest lower bounds.